Mishkan, they washed clothes in the Mishkan, they washed the wool that we share also the animal that they used to cover the ears, they would have to wash it. It was very dirty, had to be washed. So therefore, you can't wash clothes on Shabbos. And in the washing of clothes, there is soaking it. That itself is prohibited. And then there is the scrubbing. Scrubbing it is prohibited. And then squeezing it out, squeezing out the water from the material. That's also all part of the process of the malacha of melabin. So the malacha is called melabin. Melabin, wiping, washing, cleaning it. And in that process, it's both soaking it, then there's the scrubbing it that's prohibited, and then the squeezing out the water from it. Now, within the first malacha, the first type of melabin, which is making it wet, soaking it, what about if the garment is a clean garment and you're putting water on it? Is that called cleaning the garment? So there is a difference of opinion. Some say it's not called cleaning because you have a clean dress, a clean shirt, and you pour water on it. Some say it's not called cleaning because it's clean already. But if you still squeeze out the water from it, then that for sure is considered a malacha. So that for sure is a malacha. When it comes to shoes is different than, we're not talking about the shoelaces. You have a shoe without laces, let's say. The shoe is made out of leather. So we said in the process of the malacha of melabin, there is soaking it in water, pouring water on it. That's one step of the malacha. And then there's the scrubbing. But when it comes to shoes, material, leather, pouring water on it, if there's no shoelaces, is not prohibited because it doesn't absorb. It's leather. It's not absorbing any water. So practically speaking, if you come home from shul and your shoes are dirty, you're in the mud and everything is filthy, and you want to pour water on it, you're allowed to pour water on it, but there's a catch. What about if there's shoelaces? The shoelaces is material. So if there's no laces, just the shoe itself, you could pour water on it, but you can't scrub it. Because once you're scrubbing it, then already you're rubbing against the material, that will be considered cleaning. Cleaning is not the wrong melabin. That will be considered the malach of washing, melabin, because you're rubbing the material. So it's not, when it's a hard material like a table, there's no malach of washing. You can wash the table on Shabbos. You have to be careful with the sponge. You don't squeeze out the water from the sponge. It's something else. But in terms of the table, your glasses, there's no malach of cleaning. But material that's leather, your shoes, has a certain texture that scrubbing it is considered is prohibited. But pouring water on it is okay. There is a question regarding plastic. It's not clear if a plastic tablecloth goes to the category of, is it like leather that you can't scrub, or is it like this table that I could scrub? If this table I'm allowed to scrub, there's no prohibition in melabin and washing the table by scrubbing it. Plastic is not clear. So the Igros Moshe says, or Moshe Feinstein says, you should do it lightly. It's like somewhere in the middle. He said, don't scrub it, but rub it lightly. That's what he says. Get it? So it's a plastic. You want to clean the plastic table. You want to, again, there's a separate issue with using a cloth, a sponge that has an absorption of water inside it. When you're washing it, there's water coming out of it. That you have to be careful with. We're going to get to that. We're analyzing just the table itself, washing the table. You can't wash your clothes, but you can wash the table. You can wash my glasses. But the plastic tablecloth, to scrub it, you could scrub it light. So it's somewhere in between leather and hard material. It doesn't have that, leather like your shoes. Leather has a certain, I don't know what the word is. You know what I mean? It has a certain similarity to material. It doesn't absorb. That's why you could pour water on it, on your shoes. So if your shoes are dirty, you could pour water on it, but you can't scrub it.
But I can put product.
Or a product on your clothing.
Yeah.
Talking about your clothes now? What are you talking about now?
What?
What are you discussing? Clothes, shoes,
No, in the clothes table.
tablecloth, plastic
Yeah,
tablecloth, a plastic tablecloth. You could wash the tablecloth, but don't scrub it. Don't scrub it hard.
Oh.
Now, if you're using a material, a sponge, a rag that's saturated with liquid, you anyways can't because you're squeezing water out of the material. So that's another. We're not going into that now. Talking about just the act of scrubbing. You have a way I can scrub the plastic. You want to get something that's stuck to it. So then you should rub it lightly. Don't rub it. Don't do it strong.
Okay.
Because it could be, it's like shoes. Like shoes you don't scrub. Shoes you don't rub at all. So you could, by shoes you don't rub at all. If your shoes are dirty, you could pour water over it to wash off the mud, but you can't scrub it. You can't rub the shoes.
Okay.
Okay, so we clarified that. Now, question. You wash your hands in Shabbos, you use a towel. Yeah? And when you use a towel, you're washing the towel. You just washed your hands, your hands are clean, hands aren't dirty. You wash it 3 times. Now you take the towel and you dry your hands, and now you're washing the towel. How could you dry your hands in Shabbos? Right? Are you allowed to do? Are you allowed to dry your hands on a towel on Shabbos? Yes. How do you know? Because you go to houses and that's done. And if it was privileged, you would hear about it. And that's correct. Now, because this is called derech, which is not a word, it's called derech lichluk. The way of dirtying, lichluk means dirtying. It's not the way of cleaning it, it's the way of dirtying. That's how you make the towel dirty. When you dry your hands on the towel gets dirty. In this specific situation, when you're drying it in your hands on a towel, it's very clear that it's derech lichluk, because what happens after the towel is being used many times? Does the towel get cleaner? But the truth is, this case, even if this concept also applies in another situation, which maybe is not so practical, but it brings out the point. So there's halacha, it's kind of an unusual halacha. It's not a practical halacha, but just brings out the point. So it says the person has to go, is going somewhere, he's walking on Shabbos. The halacha is actually brought regarding a kippur, and he has to walk through the water. Only way to get somewhere. We're used to roads and highways, but those days, if they go place, sometimes the only way to get the place was have to go into the water. So if you go into the water, his clothes going to get wet. So is he allowed to go there if it's Shabbos and Yom Kippur? It says you could, because that's not how you clean clothes. That's the way how you make your clothes dirty. When you walk in with your clothes on. So even then we also apply that idea of derech lichluk. But anyways, it's not practical. I brought it that I hope that could help understand the concept of derech lichluk. But in this case of a towel, it's very clear. When you try, the more people use it, the more dirtier it gets. That's not a problem. However, if you notice when you take the towel to dry your hands, and you happen to notice that there is some dirt on the towel, it's like someone just. One of the kids, kids are, they're going to eat chocolate and then take their chocolate and they wipe it on the towel, right? You notice there's some chocolate over there. Now you're going to dry your hands. When you dry your hands are wet, it's going to sort of clean off the piece, the chocolate that's stuck to the towel. If you happen to notice it, you don't have to drive yourself crazy and then every time you put the towel. But if you notice that the towel is like something stuck to it, then be careful. Don't dry your hands in that area, you're going to be washing off that piece of dirt, the schmutz that's stuck to the towel. Okay? Get it? You're allowed to, now, we mentioned there's different parts when it comes to the malacha of malamin. There's pouring water on it, there's scrubbing, and there's squeezing the water out of the material. Scrubbing. When you scrub without water, I got my jacket dirty, and I want to scrub it to clean it. I'm not using water. No, I can't scrub it. I want to scrub like this. We're going to go. This is scrubbing, okay? You can't do that. Without water, you're still not allowed to do that because that's a form of cleaning. You are allowed to scratch off. Now, it seems that you could scratch. The difference between scratch and scrubbing. It's not the same. The scrubbing is like this. You can hear it, right? Scratch is when you can hear it. You can also hear the scratching. It's right there, but that's not the. It doesn't mean you can't hear it at all. But if you're just scratching off what's stuck to it, that's allowed. Because you're scratching off what's stuck to it. You're not getting so involved with the fiber of the garment. But scrubbing is not allowed. Now, there's something else. Something in between. And that is, what if you have dust? A good example is confection sugar. You know what confection sugar is? So, yeah. Imagine you get it on your clothes. Not very exciting to get that on your clothes, especially on Shabbos. Now, that's a little different than when something is stuck to your garment. When something is stuck to your garment, it's sort of more, the garment is actually dirty. It's inside the garment. You have a stain that goes into the garment. When you have like confection sugar or dust, let's say, so that also gets into the fibers of the garment, but not in the same way. And therefore, in that situation, when you have a lot of dust in your garment or confection sugar, and it's bothering, here's the catch. Over here, there's going to be an opinion that's going to say that you're not allowed to get off the dust or the confection sugar if it's bothering you very much. So it's in a difference, in a more lenient category than when you have something, you have a stain on your garment and you're rubbing it, which you're not allowed to do. Over here, it's different. It's something that's dust and on your garment. It does get into the fiber of the garment a little bit, but not the same like a regular stain. Over here, only according to one opinion is it prohibited. And even then, when is it prohibited if it's really bothering you? Like you're very uncomfortable with it. You're not comfortable walking with it. So it's kind of funny. If you get dust on your garment, now, we want to distinguish clearly between dust and then there is something that's sitting on your clothes. Like let's say a hair, a thread. Yeah, let's say a thread. Not talking about if it's muktzah. Something could be muktzah, we're not going into that. These are not. You have a piece on your garment and you just take it off, like a little thread or something. That's for sure not called cleaning your garment because there's nothing to do with the material. What's if I have this on my garments? Let's say. Oh, so obviously, okay, it sounds funny, but nothing to do with the garment is clean. So something that's on the surface of the garment is no problem taking off. The problem with the dust and the confection sugar is that when it falls on your garment, why is it so hard to get off? You go like this, it comes off. No, to get it off, you have to. Why? Because it gets into the fibers. And that's why it's considered in some way like cleaning. But even then, it's only an issue if it's bothering you. So it's kind of a funny situation. Because if let's say it doesn't bother you at all, so you're okay with it. You're okay with the way it is. You can walk with it. You're not embarrassed from it. You're very comfortable walking with it. But it's only a little bit. Then you're actually allowed to go like that. So it's not the regular situation of something that's stuck to your garment where it comes an issue. It's not like regular case we have dirt, we have something, food or something, real dirt that gets stuck to your garment. Over there, you're not allowed to scrub it or rub it. Over here, it's in the fibers. It got sort of a little, it's inside the fibers, but it's not really, didn't really get into your garment so much like dirt. Dirt, you have to scrub and keep on scrubbing, and even then you don't get it off completely. Over here, if you would bang it off, it would come off. So it's not the same like dirt that actually stuck to your garment. So therefore, it's only prohibited if it's actually bothering you. And if it doesn't bother you, you're okay the way it is, then you're allowed to take it off. So it's kind of the opposite of what we would like to hear. But that's the halacha. If it doesn't bother you, you're okay with it, then you can knock it off. If it bothers you, then you're not allowed. That's according to one opinion. One opinion holds like that. And if it's bothering you, and usually it's by dark garment, not by light garments, it's by usually if it's a dark blue, black, something that's a dark color, and then when you have dust on it, if it's noticeable and it bothers you, and therefore you're not allowed to bang it off. And again, this is according to one opinion, that you're not allowed to do this. And the halacha is, the Alter Rebbe says you should be strict and you should not take it off unless you ask a non-Jew. If you ask a non-Jew to do it for you, then it's okay. According to everyone, you're allowed to. Even though usually you're not allowed to ask a non-Jew to do things for you. But over here, it's only prohibited according to one opinion. So therefore, to ask a non-Jew, it's okay. Now, even for yourself, when we're saying you're not allowed to say it more accurately, the Alter Rebbe says that it's good. Second. Yeah, right. Now, Alter Rebbe says it's good to be careful not to, meaning it's not actually prohibited according to all opinions, meaning halachically, you could actually get away with it and do it. What do I mean get away? Get away meaning that there is a leniency, meaning it's not for sure prohibited. So again, even this case we're talking about where it's actually bothering you. You have a lot of dust or confecting sugar on your garment and you're very, very uncomfortable with it. Halachically, you could do it. But we just said you shouldn't. Because so now I want to clarify what I said before. I said you shouldn't. I say you could do it through a non-Jew. Correct. But because the Alter Rebbe says it's good to be careful. The Alter Rebbe is saying the toiv lachish, it's a good thing to be careful to heed by that opinion that says you shouldn't do it. That's what I'm saying. Don't do it. The Alter Rebbe says it's good to be careful. But the Alter Rebbe is not saying it's prohibited. No, because no, because that in itself is an issue. According to one opinion, this in itself, the fact that you have confection sugar or dust on your garment, and it gets into the fibers, and it's bothering you, it's annoying you. So when you go like that, you're actually cleaning the garment according to one opinion.
Yeah, because you're not allowed to take something off or even scratch it off if you see a little bit of a stain or anything.
No. So we said before, we distinguish between something that's on the surface of the garment, you're allowed to take off. That's not an issue.
Something that's not already in that it's something
So I said before, if it's on the top of the garment, you can take it off. If it's on not brush is different, everything, that's why I went into details before. I'll go over briefly. If you have something, if you just like a hair or something to take it off,
yeah,
you can take it off. If it's stuck to the garment, it's like stuck, like some child or whatever got stuck to the garment, you could, now the Rebbe says you could scratch it, not rub. Let's make very clear. Not, can't do that. Take a finger and like scratch off the piece, scratch off the dirt, scratch off to get what's stuck. And then don't continue scratching on the garment itself, because now you're getting too involved with the garment, which not the garment is an issue. So you're scratching off the dirt that's stuck to it. It's like digging. You're scratching off the dirt that's stuck, and you're not scrubbing. You're scratching off the dirt.
I let it water.
No, water for sure. Water is out of the question.
Okay, so, yeah, but also there's nothing, you can't go like this, this thing, you can't go like that.
Right, exactly. You can't go
Like
in.
that.
So
like-
no water. You can take your fingernail and you can scratch off. If there's something stuck to it, you can scratch off. And now we're discussing if it's, let's say, confection sugar or dust. That's a little different. That's how come when you have dust in your garment, like just go like this and everything comes off? No, it doesn't. During the week, if you want to get it off, you have to go like this. Why? Because it's already inside the fiber of the garment. So that's why it comes Shabbos. If that happens and it's bothering you, there's an opinion that says you're not allowed to do it because that's considered like cleaning the garments, rabbinically at least. Now, what is halacha? Teves says you're not allowed. But what is halacha? Now, Teves says it's a good thing to be careful and not to do it. That's why I said before you shouldn't, because now Teves says it's good not to. But what I want to bring out is that let's say you're in a very uncomfortable situation, you're desperate, you really, for some people, they could mess up the whole Shabbos. You dress Shabbos, and all of a sudden this happens, and you want to go to show, you're very uncomfortable. So if someone does it, you're not going to say they're transgressing Shabbos. So if you feel like you can't handle it, it's too much for you, there is room to be lenient. But as we said before, you can ask a non-Jew. Usually you can't ask non-Jews to do Halacha Rabbi on Shabbos. But in this case, because it's one opinion and the other opinion says you're allowed to do it yourself, so we're using the other opinions at least in regards that you can ask a non-Jew. If you have a non-Jew around, some cleaning lady, someone who's working there, you're comfortable with, and you can ask them to do it for you. So that's the way to go. Okay. Clear? Any questions? Another interesting halacha, and then is, I don't know how practical it is, but it's halacha. You're not allowed to, you never know. Sometimes all of a sudden you can come across a situation where, wow, you're not allowed to be in a place where you might fall into the water, and then you might come to squeeze out the water from your clothes. So let's say it's Shabbos afternoon and you have a pool in your backyard. Some people live in certain places that have a pool. Hopefully it's gated in properly, safety. And now you go into the pool. No, not into the pool, into the pool area. You go into the pool area and you sit yourself down right by the pool. You sit at the edge, you're sitting right by the edge. You're sitting with a friend of it, so there's no one else there. Whatever, you're sitting there, you're not going to the water. And you're sitting by the pool. Maybe you want to put your feet into the water or whatever. Whatever you're doing. You're not allowed to do that because you might come to fall into the water. Now, as I'm saying this, I'm thinking to myself, the halacha really starts off. Let's start with the halacha, what's definite, then we get to this. What it really says is you're not allowed to walk. I think, so I take back what I said. It's not about sitting, it's about walking around. You want to walk around the pool area, right around the pool. Let's see, walking by the edge. You're a good swimmer, you're not afraid, there's no one there, but you're comfortable. In case you fall in, you're not worried. So you're walking around, you're brave, you're walking around the edge, by the edge of the pool. There's a chance you might fall in. You're not worried about it, you know how to swim, but you can't do it on Shabbos. Because if you fall in, there's a concern. You fall in, you come out, and when you take off your clothes, you'll squeeze out the water from your clothes. We mentioned before, one of the ways how you do the malacha malabin is by squeezing the water out of your clothes, assuming that it's clean water, not if it's dirty water. You anyways can't squeeze it, but in terms of the malacha malabin, if it's clean water and you're squeezing the water out of your clothes, you're cleaning your clothes. So you're not allowed to walk by the edge of the pool because you might fall in. And when you come out, the likelihood, okay, you'll change. Now, what do you do with the water that's saturated, the clothes that's saturated in water? You're going to squeeze out the water. Otherwise, it's going to get damaged. You want it to stay clean and good. So that's why you can't walk around the edge of the pool because you might fall into the water. So I said before, sitting by the edge of the pool, I'm not sure, I have to look it up. I think it's when you're sitting, how are you going to fall in? You're sitting there. you're walking, you could slip, right? You could slip sometimes, you realize it's wet, or whatever. So it's walking by the edge, then you're not allowed. That's one thing. Now, another halacha. What if your clothes, it was a rainstorm, you come back to the house, you're soaked, right? That happens, you're totally soaked. So what do? You change, obviously. And then what do you do with your clothes that's soaked? What do you do? You hang it up to dry. Where do you hang it up to dry? What's the difference where? Yeah, it makes a difference where you're gonna hang it up. If you're going to hang it up in the place, you have a place, let's say, where you do laundry, and then you hang up your clothes, your shirts, whatever, yeah, place, laundry area, where you hang up all the clothes, the shirts, and everything that needs to be hung up. And now you're going to take your dress or your coat, whatever, and you can hang it up in the same place where you hang up your clothes to dry after you do laundry. You're not allowed to hang it up there. Because this is the issue of Marisign. Sure, you heard of this idea of Marisign?
It looks like you're,
It looks like you just did laundry.
and that's a regular thing you do on the weekdays.
Right, and someone might walk into your house and they'll suspect you of doing laundry
It's hung up.
when you hang it up. Exactly, no, yeah. It's called Marisign. Last, which I think we should know this term. Marisign, Maris means appearance of the eye, made appearance. Huh?
I'm not public, Martha.
A lot of
There's a
people,
lot of.
there's a lot of things in Marisign, exactly. So people suspect you that you do laundry in Shabbos. You know, what about if your laundry room is all the way downstairs, the basement, nobody goes there? Doesn't matter. Don't make any distinction. You know, when it comes to these things, oh, I didn't realize, and I thought that these things always happen. I didn't know someone was going to walk in, and then he walked in, he noticed, yeah. When it comes to Mount Sinai, they don't distinguish where it is. It's likely someone could come in and they'll see it, and they'll suspect you, so you cannot hang it up there. Now, there is an opinion from the Achrayim, meaning from the later codifiers, that they talk about what about clothes that is never washed. There are clothes that you give to the dry cleaners. So if it's dry cleaning stuff, why would someone suspect you that you washed it? Everyone knows, you give it to the dry cleaners. So there is a leniency. Rabbi Oosdoba, he says that it's okay if it's stuff that goes to the dry cleaners. It's okay. Let's say came like in the rain and your coat is soaked. Your coat you give to the dry cleaners usually. He says that is okay. But that's what he holds. Does everyone agree to it? We looked at all the opinions, but here's a big pasuk. It's an accepted opinion they can rely on that could be lenient and hang it up in the same place we hang up the laundry. But the other clothes that you wash, that you should not hang up in that place. Now, we said that you cannot pour water on garments and material, even if it's clean. It's a machlokes. Some say you could. So to them, they should be strict. So even if the clothes is clean and you're pouring water on it, you're not cleaning it more than it is. It's already clean. Still, you shouldn't do it. And that takes us to another halacha. That if, let's say, but there's a fire. Here, we're not discussing when it's dangerous and you have to, let's say it's not a dangerous fire. It's a tiny little fire and you're able to have control over it. And usually, when there's a small fire, you're able to contain it very easily. And the way you're supposed to do it in Shabbos is, even though I know some people panic right away, I've seen them and experienced different things that happen. You'll panic and they go crazy, but really, if you're by a table and there's a fire, it happens sometimes with a life there, when a napkin falls into the life there. By the way, talking about a fire, so the practical advice, you don't want, when you set up licht on the table, if you're doing it on the table, you want it to be higher up. When you have garnish on the table, and then you have napkins, and so there's a napkin, it could happen. So the best thing is to always have it higher up if you're able to. This avoids issues. But if napkin falls in fire, so you're not allowed to do anything, even if you're scared. I mean, even if you're scared, people are scared to do whatever. You're scared. I'm saying you're not supposed to. I'm saying, yeah, even if you're scared, you shouldn't. But I'm saying when a person is scared, it's hard to tell a person what to do when he's scared. That's what I meant to say. Okay. So now you shouldn't, what you do is you put water around it. If you put water around it, there's no danger because the fire is not going to spread. It's a regular fire, not talking about something dangerous, flammable, anything. Just a napkin, you know what it is? It's going to go, it could, what's the concern? It's going to spread. If you put water around it, it's not going to spread. Okay. Where are you putting water on the tablecloth? What kind of tablecloth is it? Is it plastic? You put up, sometimes people use, they cover the tablecloth with the plastic. Some people just like the tablecloth itself, because it looks nicer. Just the material itself. So if there's no plastic on the table, it's material, when you're pouring water around it, you make the tablecloth wet. And that's an issue. Okay, so you can say, so what should I do? So I should have my whole house go on fire because I don't want to make my tablecloth wet. That's not what we're saying. What I'm saying is that if you have some grape juice available at hand, no matter if it's right there, you know the halacha, and you don't make the tablecloth wet with water, and you have at hand available immediately, you have some grape juice or orange juice, something that's a colored liquid. So you take that and you pour it around the tablecloth. Yeah, you might get screamed at by someone, but I'm discussing the halacha now. Now, maybe you don't even need it. Maybe it's not even maybe such a tiny fire that it's going to go up by itself. I'm saying every time you see a little fire, pour grape juice on the table, you'll never be invited again in that house. But I'm saying so lechatchila, that's the proper thing. The proper thing is to not to use water. If you don't have water, if you don't have grape juice available, you only have water, and you're nervous about it, it's going to spread. You could be lenient and pour water around it. There's room for leniency. Not everyone says it's prohibited. It's also, you could say it's derech lichluch. Perhaps there is, you could be lenient if it's difficult. Okay, but it's not the ideal situation. Is the halacha, you have grape juice available. And there's no plastic. If there's a plastic, there's no problem. It's just a regular tablecloth, then better to use colored liquid. That's the best way to do it. Seltzer is water. It's the same thing.
But isn't that dying?
Is okay. So the question is, isn't pouring grape juice on the tablecloth dying? Good question. Yeah, very good point. Oh, so here's the thing. Actually, that's the next malacha. Dying is the next malacha. Maybe we should address it when we get to it. Well, briefly, I'll explain you. It's true. It's not the ideal situation, but it's better than using water. Using water is in a much worse category. Yes, if there's no reason to, you shouldn't even pour. It's a very good point. If there's no reason, you shouldn't even pouring grape juice on the material because that could be considered dying. Could be meaning it's a big machlekes. According to many opinions, it's not called dying because this is really you're ruining the color of the tablecloth. Right, so the Alter Rebbe says, right, the point is, some say it's not called dying because it's the way, because you're making it dirty. The idea of the malacha, and when you understand what the malacha of dying is, D-Y-U, when you die, it's a color. Usually dying is you're improving the material, and here you're ruining the material. So some opinions say it's not an issue. The Alter Rebbe says you should be strict. So yeah, if it's only done when there's a fire. In other words, but in comparison to pouring water on material, this is a better way to do it. Is there any questions? Everything clear? Yep. Okay, so stop here. Good job, everyone. Hashem, I find that. Yes, absolutely.
Those are going to make his phone on Shabbos.
Yeah,
She's like, if you're warning him.
yeah.
Yeah. If you want to bring a Shabbos gift, are we able to? And I'm like,
Yeah, you're not bringing. You bring for the house, bring to honor a Shabbos, it's not specifically for her.
Okay,
You bring for the family, it's a family.
okay.
It's
Okay, even if we give it to her directly, like, it doesn't matter, if it's like for the family.
it's up to her, it's a company, give like some makeup or perfume, jewelry,
Yeah,
it's for the family,
Okay.
it's for the house, if it's flowers, it's for the house, if it's food, it's for the house also, it's.
okay, thank you. I enjoyed Shabbos at your son and daughter-in-law.
Oh, yeah, you got it?
I went last week, yeah.
On this.